come to realize that there's a different understanding about reality possible, which is not through the logical, rational mind, but which is more through the direct experiencing of reality. And that is our individual decision. That's why human life is so unique, so challenging, because we have to make decisions, we have to take the initiative. Are there any questions or anything in anyone? If anything is working in anyone, or have the feeling to consider something more deeply, or to clear something, then this is one possibility.
For me at the moment it's not so easy, and sometimes I have the impression that I'm mentally sick. I don't know. No chance for anything.
One who can laugh like this and can speak about the so-called mental sickness is not mentally sick. The mind is always existing in the dualistic process. So one part will say one thing, another part will say something else, and the conflict is in the very process of the mind. So the whole capacity what we have as human being is to be able to look at this mind without identifying with it. And that is why we can go beyond all kind of unclarities and see what is relevant, where we can use the mind, what way to consider, and not be trapped in it blindly. It is natural in our life process we are coming into states of unclarity, confusion, where we start questioning everything, where everything looks senseless, impossible, where one is feeling lost. So it is all in the game. The important thing is you remember to look at it without interfering. Look at it without trying to force anything. Look at it without identifying with it. And that is how you gain roots in the process of consciousness. Because that is what makes all the difference. When you are remembering that you are not these mental processes, these are aspects coming in the dualistic area of reality, but your reality deep within is beyond this, what is described and defined by the mind. That is why until and unless a human being is inquiring and confronting the reality in a deeper way, and get the glimpse, get the feel of the non-dualistic basis in life. Without that, life becomes more like a lost process. Because on the mental level, you see more and more problems, and the automatism drags you into certain kind of reactions which comes from your conditioning. And that is how many people are feeling lost and are in the effort to control, to keep everything in grip. But those who understand, they remind, look more deeply. Don't go into a blind fighting with yourself or with anyone else. Instead, become aware of the nature of the reality. And that is where we have the chance, that is where we have to look, because that is how we come to realize that there's a different understanding about reality possible, which is not through the logical, rational mind, but which is more through the direct experiencing of reality. And that is our individual decision. That's why human life is so unique, so challenging, because we have to make decisions, we have to take the initiative. It's not happening like in the case of an animal, that a cat is born as a cat and it lives as a cat and dies as a cat. Of course, all the animals are in tune with nature, tuned with the whole, and lives a very harmonious life in the natural process, because there is no conflict. But in human beings, we have the mind which is able to go with the perception in a different way. We get standards, values, concepts, but we also see that there is more possible, there is something deeper. Something in us is aware that something is deeper than what way it appears. But it is not easy. We don't have the possibility to come to it just like we open the door and we have everything now clear. We have to seek, search, inquire. And it's an adventure. Adventure because things don't go according to our concepts and our beliefs. We have to be ready to again and again consider and look what life is showing, what is the nature of the reality, what is it that I need to understand. So it is like, for example, when there is darkness and we say, oh, there is darkness, I have to go and fight it with my sword or bring my strong guns and shoot at it. It doesn't work. And then we lose our swords, we lose our ammunition, and still the darkness is there, because it doesn't work like that. You have to understand that darkness has to be encountered with light. And darkness, when you consider it more deeply, you realize that it is simply a sign that the light is not there. So is also within us, our inner process. The so-called badness, the so-called unsensibility, the so-called inhumanness in us is there, and many people get trapped in it more and more only because we are not bringing careful considerations. We are not looking more deeply. We are not having the right understanding. That is the reason why those who are insightful don't want to punish people, want to not hurt people and take revenge and bring suffering to anybody and think that that way everything will be better. Those who understand, they see that essentially everyone is good. Essentially everyone comes from the same source. So nobody need to be punished, nobody need to be put in some kind of situation where they are only hurt and brought into suffering and pain. There's a need to help those who have gone astray, to reconnect, to understand more deeply, to become familiar with what really is. So, as you have heard this from the tradition of the African tribe Himba, they don't punish people from their tribe. They have a very different understanding. And when I came across this anecdote of their life, or the way they go about it, I was finding it so valuable, so beautiful, that we don't often understand how deep the tribes, the people who are having the natural basis, who have not lost themselves to the so-called modern civilization, connect to reality. They are still in tune, and their approach to life is sometimes very different. So in this tribe of the Himbas, they have a whole background that they don't count the birthday on the time when the child is born, but when the woman who wants to have a child thinks of getting the child, that is the day of the birth for this person. So from there, from the very deeper process, they have other background, and the whole society is based on attunement to life, attunement to reality, attunement to nature. So the woman goes for finding the song for the child. And after she has found the song for the soul of the child, then she looks for the person with whom she wants to have the child. And when the child is conceived, they sing the song all through the period, all through the pregnancy. And when the child is born, they celebrate with this song. So this is the song for the soul of the child. So far it is a beautiful story. But what I found very significant and valuable in this anecdote is that, or this tradition is that, when someone of this tribe does something what we in our modern terms call criminal or bad or horrible, whatever way we call it, they don't go into catching and punishing and hurting the person. The tribe comes together, asks the person to come in the middle of the meeting, and they start singing the song of the soul from this person. And their understanding is very deep, because they see that when this person regains the contact to his essence, his source, then the goodness in one will come again to manifest. So they are not trying to fight the bad through aggression and violence and revenge and hurting and all that. They just help the person to regain the understanding, the consciousness, the attunement to the source. And this is very, very valuable, and this is what is very important for our modern world to consider and understand. That we should not go on fighting the negative by becoming negative ourselves. We should not go into hurting and revenging and punishing in the way we are used to, but we have to look what way to bring understanding, what way to bring careful steps, so that the person who has gone wrong can be helped to regain the inner balance, regain the right understanding. So it is a healing process. And everybody needs the healing process in different levels. Some have gone too far astray, so they have much urgent need, but the others are still in this kind of unclear states and going on. So the earlier one person starts seeking the truth, seeking consciously the connection to the source, this is how we create the basis for a healthy society. It is not only for oneself, it is going to reflect in every connection, every area, in our whole surroundings. So a person of clarity will not seek revenge. A person of clarity will not go into being inimical to anybody. In English there's a very beautiful saying which I am so appreciative of. The saying goes, it is better to have a wise enemy than a foolish friend. What is this statement? It's from the normal way of looking, it's not understandable so easily, because one thinks a wise enemy will be more problematic, because this person is, according to the normal way of looking, more knowledgeable, more clever, more intelligent, more all that. So it will be more difficult. But the real understanding of wiseness is one who is not trapped in knowledge, one who has become wise in the sense of attaining wisdom. And wisdom is when one goes beyond knowledge. And a person of deeper understanding will not want to hurt anybody, will not want to punish anybody, will not want to take revenge on anybody. When Jesus was punished by the people around him to be crucified, in his understanding, in his insight, he was not revengeful. He was not angry with them. He was praying for them. And he was praying and saying, "Oh Father, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing." This is what is naturally happening when you become clear inside. You will not focus into the negative. You will look how to be creative, how to bring your energy into manifesting the light, and indirectly through that you remove the darkness. So when you are coming in states of unclarity, confusion, accept, watch and wait. Let it also pass by, don't identify with it. That's why I remind everybody, learn to look without identification. Learn to look without putting yourself in a box. Learn to face the reality without trying to figure out and calculate and forcing it in any direction. Let the awareness deepen. So the deeper you are seeing the wholeness of the situation, out of that non-identified, non-interfering way of being with it in a conscious way, you will notice response arising in you. And that will be valuable for oneself as well as for the whole surrounding, all the others involved in it. So accept and respect yourself with all what is there, and don't put yourself in a box. Don't try to be special, don't try to be bad, don't try to be superior, don't try to be inferior. Don't put yourself in any kind of labels. Then you see also that how can you compare? When everybody is unique, when life has created each and everyone without someone else like him or her, then how to judge, how to compare? You can only accept and respect everybody when you understand it rightly. Of course, you have to connect to it in the practical living, connect to everybody and look what way to bring the understanding, how to go about the conflicts and unclarities in a healthy way, in an intelligent way. But that is then coming from a different basis. You are not going into blind reactions to hurt and punish and be violent to the other. You look what is the way to bridge, how the interests are working. When you see that maybe the other is wanting the same thing which you are also wanting. Other wants to have the same goal. So your understanding will deepen when you are staying with it long enough. Consider the other with the acceptance and respect also. And that is how humanity becomes more human, more healthy. Because we are coming beyond the automatic robot-like way of reacting into a way of connecting to oneself and each other as part of the wonder, as part of the mystery.
Coming up next.
If you just immediately call it bad and something is wrong, and then you are fighting, you are into some, oh, how can I get again normal? So you are holding to your idea of normality. But just notice this and see that in the moment it is like that. Is there any other question or anything else in anyone? Yeah?
Yeah, I don't know how to say.
Der Bildschirm ist nicht an.
Yeah.
Yeah, since nearly 3 weeks, I feel like, I don't know how to say, as if I'm not, I don't know, as if I don't know how to say, I say abuse words thrown out of myself. Yeah, I don't know. And in my belly it feels so empty. Yeah, I don't know why. Yeah, and yeah, it's maybe also of the sickness which I have now, or I don't know. Yeah, but it feels for me strange. Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, of course I have to accept it. Yeah, and yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know.
Very simple. Thank the ticks. And in English, when you say somebody has a tick, and somebody is going a little crazy, so the ticks are helping you to get a little bit turned around. And if there were 4 ticks biting you, and you are having all these antibiotics and other kind of ticks, so you have to deal with it. And the important thing is to see that this is also a challenging framework in which you can go deep, because the body chemistry is affected and the usual settlements are disturbed. So you have the possibility to look at it without identifying. If you just immediately call it bad and something is wrong, and then you are fighting, you are into some, oh, how can I get again normal? So you are holding to your idea of normality. But just notice this and see that in the moment it is like that. And this is what we have to get familiar with. Things change. Every time certain processes are in the dynamic movement, we have to learn to deal with it in the right way. Normally we are trying to force it back into the so-called norm, so-called familiar state we are in, which is human, which is natural, but we have to also see that these are also opportunities to go deeper, because there are changes happening, there are some disturbance in the status quo. So let it be a help rather than making it into a problem and suffering from it. The suffering comes from the normal way of judging and categorizing it and making it as if it should not be there, but this is there. This is part of the process, this is part of the mystery we are in. So make it a chance to go deeper in your meditative way of confronting all that. Accept it and be with all the feelings, sensations, energy process without identifying with it. And again remember to ask the question what and not why. You are still going on asking why it is there, why it is happening, why not? So learn to go more deep, because when you ask the question why, you go into explanations in the head, in the logic. But when you ask what, you are coming to the present. So remember this. That's why I remind to ask the question what, and that makes a big difference. So anything else in anyone? So if nothing else is there, we sit the next 20 minutes wakeful, present to all what is.
The Life Surfing podcast will be back next week. In the meantime, make sure that you're following us right here on Spotify.